do Snapchat, logo design, and the car industry have in common? These three seemingly disconnected ideas in fact share one of the most important driving forces behind business today. And that force is disruption. My name is Katherine Hague, and today I want to talk to you about disruptive innovation. In just over a year, Snapchat has grown to match Facebook with over 350 million photos being shared each and every day. Since it was founded in 2008, 99 Designs has helped change the way that graphic designers get paid by allowing them to compete for contracts from around the world. Their community is now made up of over 250,000 members, designing everything from logos to websites and marketing materials. Now, we all know that the car industry has seen its fair share of disruption over the last century, only most recently with Elon Musk's Tesla. Tesla has not only pushed the boundaries for what's technically possible, but they've also disrupted the nearly 100-year-old model for selling cars through car dealerships. In fact, Tesla's impact by introducing the direct-to-consumer model has been so strong that it's believed that the car dealership model might not even survive the next decade. Now, disruptive innovation is not a new thing. It's been the constant driving force behind our society's advancement. From the Ford Model T replacing the horse and buggy, to Wikipedia replacing the encyclopedia, and landlines being replaced by cell phones, it's absolutely everywhere we look. Popularized by Clayton Christensen, the theory of disruptive innovation seeks to explain how seemingly immovable incumbents can be unseated by young upstarts. We've all heard the names of Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. Their disregard for the status quo and ability to change entire industries are constantly cited by business and the media. But I find that they're often referred to as the outliers. To quote Apple, they were the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones that saw things differently. But I believe that the way that we perceive disruption is about to change dramatically. I believe that disruption, not stability, is the new normal. And I believe that disruptors are going to be seen not as the outliers or the misfits, but simply as the model that every business leader will need to follow in order to compete in a rapidly changing economy. Now, your generation is going to have more access to education, information, better funding resources, and better tools than any generation before you. The pace of innovation is quickening. The cell phones you have in your pockets right now are more powerful than the spaceship that sent the first man to the moon. And technology is changing rapidly. Things don't just stay the same for very long in this society. Even your jobs will change quickly. It's expected that your generation will have between 15 and 20 jobs in your lifetime. The business leaders of tomorrow won't be able to settle for the status quo. They'll need to understand that change isn't something that comes along every decade or generation. It's a constant. Now, my passion for entrepreneurship is what led me to start my company, ShopLocket. And ShopLocket works with thousands of entrepreneurs trying to bring their ideas to market. And through my role, I've had the opportunity to interview some of the greatest product minds of our generation. And these are some of their faces. Have you heard of Eric Stackpole or Julie Ehrman or Ariel Garten? They are part of the next generation of innovators. This is Eric Stackpole. Eric is one of the founders of OpenROV, and OpenROV is changing underwater exploration. But Eric didn't always know that underwater exploration was going to be his calling. In fact, he one day decided that he'd go to the Santa Clara University Robotic Systems Lab, where he'd often walk around, and it wasn't until he went into the bathroom and heard the squeak of his shoe on the floor that he thought it sounded like a submarine descending deeper and deeper into the abyss as he heard the ping. And to him, he had this imagination and thought, this is what real adventure looks like. And that's when he decided that underwater exploration would be his future. And 2 years later, he has started OpenROV, which has allowed people to buy an underwater submarine for only $850. This here is Julie Ehrman. And Julie is the founder of Ouya, and Ouya is changing console gaming. Unlike the walled gardens that PlayStation, Xbox have become, what Ouya is doing, it's allowing any game developer to build for consoles. And it's changing the models for research and development in the gaming industry by telling people that it's possible for one developer to build a game, and it doesn't necessarily have to take hundreds of millions of dollars and years. This is Ariel Garten. Her company is based right here in Toronto. And their first product, Muse, allows you to control the world around you using nothing but your brain. Now, what they're doing is thought-controlled computing, and they're one of a number of companies working in this space, pushing each other to push the technology further, faster. All of these companies were able to crowdfund their ideas on platforms like Indiegogo and Kickstarter. But those aren't the only platforms that are available to next generation of innovators. Ben Kaufman founded Quirky, which allows many people to collaborate together on products, each person having ownership in the final idea. One of the over 400 products that were founded through this platform is the Pivot Power, which was founded by Jake Zine. And Jake actually thought of this idea when he had just graduated from high school. It's a flexible power cord, which he started working on in a pre-college program. And while he was taking part in this program, he really thought that this is something that could be more than just an idea. He thought it could be a real company, but he had never brought anything to market before. A family friend told him about Quirky, and he submitted the initial idea. In less than a month, they were able, through the community, to finalize the design, and to date, the product has sold over 600,000 units. Now, Eric, Julie, Ariel, Jake, Ben, all of these entrepreneurs, their stories are simply a snapshot of the world that you are going to need to compete in. Your generation is going to be able to make a real difference. Now, I firmly believe that the business schools of tomorrow aren't going to look very much like the business schools of today. When you leave college after 4 years, the world is not going to look the same as it did when you entered. In fact, it might look incredibly different after just a single year. The business leaders of tomorrow are not going to be tasked with simply managing the status quo, or even with just looking out for young upstarts that might unseat them. They're going to need to understand that the world is constantly changing. So what might the business schools of tomorrow look like? I think it might look a little bit more like the Thiel Fellowship. The Thiel Fellowship was founded by billionaire, investor, and entrepreneur Peter Thiel. And once a year, they select 20 students under the age of 20 and give them a grant for $100,000 not to go to college. Instead, these students are challenged to work on their projects, work on their ideas, and focus on their research. They're surrounded by some of the greatest minds of our generation and are given an education that's just simply not possible in the classroom. Or maybe the business school of tomorrow will look a little bit more like Y Combinator. Y Combinator started in 2005 with a new model for startup funding. Twice a year, they'd invest between $14,000 and $20,000, plus an additional $80,000 in a handful of startups, most recently 50. And these 50 companies would be brought down to Mountain View, California, the heart of Silicon Valley, from different backgrounds and different industries to work intensively on their projects for 3 months. At the end of these 3 months, they'd have the opportunity to pitch to investors, and many of the people that have gone through this program explain it as one of the most intense learning experiences of their lives. But it doesn't just end after 3 months. Y Combinator has built out a network of over 550 companies, all of which help each other not just throughout the 3-month program, but throughout the life of their companies and well beyond. Some of the greatest companies that are out there today came out of Y Combinator, including Reddit, Dropbox, Airbnb, and the Pebble Watch. What the Thiel Fellowship and Y Combinator have in common is that they focus on learning by doing and on understanding that you need to function and work in a world that is going to be constantly changing. Now, your generation has more education, more tools, more access to funding than any generation before, but I think most importantly, you'll have an infrastructure and programs like these that are ready to support new ideas. You not only have the opportunity to take part in this next generation of disruptors, but honestly, with the pace of innovation, you might not have any choice. Now, I want to leave you with 3 thoughts to take home with you today. First, I want you to just take one moment and think of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Now, it's been said that we are, in fact, the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. Think of those 5 people again. Are they people that challenge you? Are they people that introduce you to new experiences and force you to be better? There's perhaps nothing more important than the people we surround ourselves with, And I'm sure this is a room of people that are used to being some of the smartest people in the room, but I'd say you need to aspire to be the dumbest person in the room. Seek out new experiences, and I promise you, in time, you will rise to the occasion. Secondly, I want you to take some time and imagine what the world will look like in 100 years. What things will we do in 100 years that people will look back at us today and say, what were they doing back then? What products will seem obvious 100 years from now but don't exist today? Use this simple imagination exercise to decide the next big idea that you want to pursue. Imagine the future and build what's in it. Now, I also, perhaps most importantly, want you to start building. Imagination, modeling, all of these things can only get us so far. In order to really learn, you need to experiment. You need to create. So get out there, learn a programming language, start playing with electronics. It might seem intimidating at first, but quickly you'll find that the hardest part was simply getting started. The technology industry doesn't care how old you are, where you're from, or what experience you have. It's an industry that believes that insight can come from anywhere if you're willing to try. The courage to tackle new challenges comes from a strong support network and experience. Meet new people that you trust and respect. Experience new things and get comfortable being uncomfortable. Ask questions, build relationships, and keep in touch. You're living in a world that is going to force you to evolve. There will be no playbook to follow, and there will be a lot of trial and error. Learn from your mistakes and those of others, and try again. And realize that no matter what industry you choose, the next Elon Musk or Snapchat will be out there waiting to change everything. Prepare yourself not only to deal with, but to thrive on the unexpected. And next time you're on Snapchat, or you're dreaming up the logo for your new company, I want you to remember that these rapid shifts in technology and process are not the outliers. They're the new normal. Thank you. Thank you.